Unit 2 Algebra. And we're doing part 1 of section 2.4, which is on algebraic fractions. So here is where the importance of understanding numerical fractions comes in very much. If you don't understand your fractions from Unit 1, then you're going to struggle immensely with these fractions. In part 1, we're going to look at multiply and divide of fractions. And your big rule is factorize. And the other rule is if you have more than one term, you can't cancel separate terms. So at the very beginning of Unit 2, we spoke about what makes terms. So I'm going to do examples to understand how to do it. So we've got this algebraic fraction, and remember now, you can't cancel the x's. You have two terms at the top and two terms at the bottom. You've got to factorize in order to turn it to one term. Remember that brackets make one term. So at the top, can you see there's a common x? Go back to our rule, x times what gives me x squared? X times x. Then follow your negative. X times what gives me 3x? That's x times 3. Look at the bottom. There, can you see I can take out a 2 and an x. So 2x times what gives me 2x squared? I need an x. Oh, it is now suddenly changed the color of my pen to white. Let's just change it back. So we need an x here. 2x times what gives me 2x? Times 1, but it's a negative, so negative 1. Right, so look at it again. If my two brackets had been exactly the same, I could have cancelled the brackets, but they are not, and I cannot cancel parts of them. However, the x in front of my bracket is multiplying, so I can cancel that. Say x goes into itself once. The x down here is multiplying, so I can say x goes into itself once. So you don't interfere with the pluses and minuses. Notice another thing. Now at the top I can remove my bracket. At the bottom I still need a bracket because the 2 is multiplied by both the x and the minus 1. But the reason why we can now drop the top bracket is that this line acts as a bracket. Always remember that line acts as a bracket. Right, look at this one. What can we do here? X plus 5 over 3x. No, you cannot cancel the x's. At the top, it's x plus 5. You cannot cancel around a plus or a minus. So this one, you can't do anymore. You can't reduce. This is the answer. Right, look at this one. So there are two brackets that are exactly the same. We're not cancelling around the plus sign, we're cancelling the whole bracket. Now again, because this line acts as a bracket, I don't need the separate brackets anymore, and that is my final answer. Last one, let's do a divide by 2 over x minus 2, divide by 4 over x plus 1, x minus 2. Here again, your same rule as in numbers. You keep the first one, turn the divide into a multiply, and find the reciprocal of the one that was after the divide. Now we can cancel any top with any bottom. So the whole of the x minus 2 bracket, not the separate ones, the whole x minus 2 can cancel. But then 2 can divide into itself once, and it can divide into 4 2 times. Right, what's my rule? Now I'm doing multiply. Now my rule says top times top over bottom times bottom. So 1 times x plus 1 remains x plus 1. I don't need an extra bracket anymore. 1 times 2 is 2. That is my final answer. Right, and again, yes, notice that the brackets are not needed. However, if you did keep your bracket, it would not be wrong. So if you're not sure and you want to keep it, that's fine. One rule we must remember with times and divide, and I'm going to put it in here, is when we are doing times and divide, then common denominator is not needed. So you only get a common denominator when you do plus and minus. Times and divide, your rule is factorize and don't cancel separate terms.